Hey there, everyone. Welcome once again to the Shekinah Glory Remnant channel. Um, Bear with me a little bit. My voice might be a little pitchy. I'm trying to put a little bass in it, but let's go into the book of Revelation. We have some edification for our people. And this edification comes with regards to the two women mentioned in Revelation. Now, we addressed one which was in Revelation 12 with the woman who was a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. This woman, which we identified as Israel, who the Most High exalted and glorified and put as the light of the world, was Israel. And we saw how through this nation the Mashiach was birthed. And the very same prophecy that Yahushua gave to Isaac and Rebekah, that there were two nations wrestling in her stomach, right? And the same thing from in Genesis, where he says with regards to the woman and the serpent, that the woman's seed will be the one to bruise the head of the serpent's seed. And you see this with when the woman is travailing in birth to bring forth her man child. Yeah, she was travailing in birth to bring forth her man child. And if you ever see when a woman is giving birth, the baby might be, is it breached? Where they come out and, that head, it's like, but in this case, it is in reference to the serpent that is chasing or going after the woman's seed. And it shows that in both cases, even here, where it talks about the red dragon, which was the powers, the kingdom at that time, knew of the birth of this child, and it awaited the birth, or basically pursued the woman with the child in an effort to try to kill the promise, kill the Messiah. And what happened? The Messiah prevailed. And then it also mentions again where the woman goes back into the wilderness, and now the serpent sends the floods, which is their nations and multitudes, the seed of the serpent after the woman. And then the woman's seed, the remnant, those chosen of the Most High, the bride, basically opens up and they swallow these nations because they were given the power through their testimonies and through their righteousness and through them obeying keeping the commandments of the Most High. They also gained dominion over the serpent seed, which explains what the Most High was saying in Genesis. So we see in Genesis, he tells you about the woman's seed will bruise the serpent's seed head, and the serpent will bruise her seed's heel, in that it would be on their track all the time. It would be always hot on the tracks of the seed of Israel. And the seed of Israel would always have dominion no matter what. They would always have the upper hand on the serpent seed. So it shows in both cases that no matter what, even if the serpent was hot on their case, the remnant, the woman's seed, would always prevail. As well as when it talks about the two nations wrestling in Rebecca's stomach, you saw where Esau came out first and Jacob came out second. And right now, that also shows in the prophecy of right now, where Esau ends up at the top. Jacob did eventually wrestle and get the blessing, but we lost it. Remember, the Most High already knew this was going to happen from even in Genesis, right? But those two nations ended up coming forth from Rebecca, the woman, but it came out where Esau came out first, and his feet bruised Jacob's head, and Jacob was holding on. So it seemed like something that it really wasn't, which is like what's happening right now. It seems like Esau is the head, but they're not. It seems like Esau is the blessed one, but they're not. The real blessed ones are the ones that are right now, which is us, which are at the bottom, that are being misused and mistreated and abused. So what it seems, you know how we always say what it seems like with your physical eye is not what it is. It's not what it always is. Right now, he who is supposed to be on the top is at the bottom, and vice versa. So at that point, yes, Jacob did wrestle and get his blessing back. But then, it just slipped right back out. And Esau, who thought that they deserved the blessing, is at the top. But right now, they're showing why the blessing was not for them. Why the serpent seed will not be in power for long, because they bring with them death and destruction. And but for right now, where Jacob is in their captivity, this is what has to happen. But the remnant that would come out from Israel as a result of this pressure and the oppression, they will come out on top or stronger. They're the ones who are going to defeat the serpent, because it says here that, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So it shows that the remnant will have the advantage over the serpent's seed. Now, we started out talking about that there are two women that are mentioned in Revelation. And we identified the first woman clothed in the sun and the moon under her feet and the 12 stars as Israel. But who is this other woman that is spoken of? Let's look into Revelation 17. Let's go into Revelation 17 and let's read. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sit upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore did thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which had 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundations of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. So let's just stop right there. So we see that the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, okay, let's read this again. So he calls this woman the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And they say waters represent multitudes, multitudes of people. But we also understand woman to represent a nation, right? A nation. And this woman, and based on the first woman, how she was dressed and she was honored and she was holy, we can also get into the characteristics to figure out who is this other nation by how she is described, right? First, he said, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, and with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So here he's talking about the kings of the earth. One such king, Solomon, yes, who brought in unto him these other nations, right? And we talked about that right now there's really just 2 nations, because even the scripture is showing you, even from the beginning, from the foundation, it talks about there's the woman's seed and then there's the serpent seed. And the 2 nations, he gives them a name. When it comes to Rebecca and Isaac, there's Israel and then there's Edom. Now you have people continuously, as we said, trying to divide up Edom. But the point of the matter is there's Israel and there's Edom. Right? The Most High's people and the serpent's people. The ones who have pledged allegiance to the serpent and the Most High's chosen holy people. So these nations, this other woman, the mystery, you know how everybody's trying to figure out who is Edom and why is it that they look the way they do, and that Edom is a black man. The mystery, just the very same thing right here. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And also it mentions that this woman sits upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So the 7 heads, the continents, they have dominion all around the world. Control and rulership, they're the ones that are the rulers. They are the many nations, the United Nations that we're talking about. That is the whore of Babylon. All of them, even in America, what do they say? The 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 land where you have all these diverse people, and they're everywhere on the seven continents. So it's, yes, it's also the Roman Catholic. The Roman Catholic is also a part of it. Their church, everything. But it's these other nations. Or, yeah. So the woman is arrayed in purple and scarlet color. Y'all ever read a book called The Scarlet Letter? Well, scarlet, it that she wore a scarlet A, which stood for adultery, which was an abomination. And scarlet color is associated with abominations. And the purple, royalty, they like to say that it has to do with royalty, decked with gold and precious stones, all of their idols, all of their spoils of the world that they've been collecting. They have all the riches in the world. A golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of a fornication. Remember, we said that this other nation is the idol that our people love to worship. They will say till they're blue in the face that they're not trying to be like them. But yet they put them on a pedestal. They want to be white like them. They want to have hair like them. They want to have the things that they have, the covetousness. Even though, let's go to the book of Hebrews real quick. Corinthians, Ephesians. Let's see if I can. This page is always just stuck together. But the book of Ephesians here in chapter 13 says, verse 5 says, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have, for he had said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Remember them which have the rule over you, who have spoken unto you the word of God, whose faith followed, considering the end of their conversation. Jesus Christ, Yahushua, is the same yesterday and today and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, for it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace, not with meats, which have not profited them which have been occupied therein. We have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle. But here it talks about that covetousness, and also here, we should have just read here too. Verse 4, it says, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. So this other nation, in comparison to the first woman, is seen as a whore. What did the Most High call these idols that Israel were going to? Whores and filthy abominations, all these things. That's what he sees them as. Hold on 1 second, my page blew over. So, sorry. It says upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So just like even our people today are always in admiration of their idols, you're still over there worshiping them. You're still over there thinking that they are all their beauty standards are what matters. You still have even our men going literally like putting their life on the line to try to include them amongst Israel, and even the women too. So it shows that even John himself, he had admiration, and then the angel had to say to him that wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which had the 7 heads and 10 horns. And y'all know how much mixed this world is right now. The multitudes are everywhere. The serpent seed is everywhere. These United Nations, these coalitions, it might look to you like, oh, it's just one nation out there, that it's Edom and you're trying to find them, but you haven't realized that the Most High, this is why our people are stiff necked. I don't take pleasure in saying this, but we have to call a spade a spade. All right? They're looking at just one, when these doctrines that these other nations live by, their ways, just like here, the Whore of Babylon, the mystery, the Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and abominations of the earth. It shows you that there's another nation, but no, Israel is still, they're over there trying to differentiate between the Arabs and the Edomites and the Japhets and all these other things, not realizing that, look, they're united, right? You're the ones who are divided and dividing yourself even more, trying to figure them out when you have bigger fish to fry. So this other nation, because it says, and the woman which thou sawest is the great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Who is it that reigneth over the kings of the earth? Who are the kings of the earth? The royalty. The Most High's people. The Most High's people. Now, how some people will call, they think it's just America, that is the land. It's not the land, it's these nations that are over us. These nations that are making merchandise of us, that have risen to top positions from being amongst us, will come up into our communities and open businesses and make top dollar and leave, all while still being abusive towards us. You see how these Asians and Moabites, they decide they want to treat our people, watch you like a hawk, and yet they don't even use any of the things that they're selling. All of those things are for our people. So they studied us so they can go out and make a buck off of us and get rich and go out there and send their children to universities so they can continue to claim that they're the smartest and make all kind of abominable things to nuclear, what do you call it, nuclear poisons and things to pour into the sea so they can continue to kill off half the earth, our planet. Remember we were talking about how they like to say get off our technologies and all that stuff, but we could have easily just said you can get off our earth. We are the earth people. So the sun can't even stand you. The sun that helps to enhance life can't even stand you. That glory, that holiness, which is what the Most High used to clothe his people with. They are repelled by it. Isn't that interesting? The Most High clothed his people with the sun. Can you imagine if y'all decided, look, we're just going to go by the Most High, what he told us to do, obey his commandments. Like this is what the remnant does. This is how they became the remnant. By obeying his commandments. Can you imagine the holiness would shine upon your enemies? That sun. Yes, Israel. You have been given dominion over your enemy. And that other nation, yeah, the whore and the beast that they sit upon is the powers. The powers, that's the power that controls them right now. That keeps them in that position. This is why they're over there doing all kinds of blood rituals and sacrifices, their pagan holidays, their abominations, all the things that you decide you want to be a part of, but unknowingly, some of y'all knowingly, but keeping secrets, keep going the way of the heathens. But here, this woman is wearing scarlet. Every part of her is an abomination. Okay? And this is the other nation. Those other United Nations. And that beast, remember we talked about those powers. The scarlet, the beast, the abominable beast. Now the abomination. Saw the woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Remember, blasphemy is they're denying the existence of the Most High, blaspheming His name, which it says in Scripture that as a result of us, the Gentiles blaspheme His name. Isaiah 52 verse 5 says, "Now therefore what have I here, said the Lord, that my people is taken away for naught? They that rule over them make them to howl, said the Lord, and my name continually every day is blasphemed." That woman herself is that city, Rome, the Babylon, all of those abominable cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, all of them. Those are all abominations ruling over the Most High's people. All of them. Those blasphemous names, those names that take the Most High out of His creation, trying to take Him out of His creation by trying to ignore His existence or make it seem like He doesn't exist, and their way is the right way, and their technology, which is this. That's what they're also talking about with the beast. How many of y'all know WWW means 666? We talked about even in the Hebrew how it's like a 7 as well. But they got many different sneaky ways to try to push this in. That WWW, the World Wide Web, that search engine, which is what is also connected to that chip. If y'all have been watching a lot of these movies, even on Netflix, that they're pushing, the Black Mirror, and I think there's another movie that's coming out in the theaters where they show what happens when a person gets chipped. There's one with a man that got chipped and he suddenly developed all kinds of artificial superpowers, or he's able to fight and do bionic type of things. And then in the Black Mirror, they'll have them from their own eyes. They can do, what do you call it? Like they can project the internet, and they don't need any laptops. They don't need any physical things. It's just from their body. And I know not so long ago we were talking about greater is He that is in me than he that is in this world, from the Spirit of the Most High. Their chip has their spirit, which comes from their superficial powers. So they're trying to implant a superficial power within you. So by you accepting their chip or their mark or their symbol, and you take on those robotic features, you think it's more powerful. So now you don't need a credit card, or you don't need a cell phone. Everything you can just do from your own body. So it's giving you an illusion, or the delusion, that you can have everything in one, and that their powers, their technology, because you're so wrapped up in the ways of this world, is more powerful than the Most High. That's what those things will try to do to you. But you don't realize that they just locked you up more and more in spiritual bondage. They have the ability to make their things seem like they are more advanced, and they outweigh or are able to outdo the power of the Most High. Remember, we talked about these powers. The powers that he talks about, you're not wrestling against flesh and blood, you're wrestling against principalities and powers and the rulers of darkness in this world and spiritual wickedness in high places. This is what it all comes down to. Even when they're talking about the beast, what is the one thing that connects all the world? Their internet, their social media, but especially their internet, their search web or their web searches, everything you can find, all the knowledge. We talked about this not so long ago, knowledge of man, all this knowledge you could just right there at the tip of your finger. And then they're going to take it even farther with their inventions. And now they want to put that in your body and give you that delusion to think that, oh, these things are now making you more powerful and you have the freedom, not realizing that they just locked you down in slavery. But now for good. Can't come back from that. You've accepted their powers over the Most High. You refuse to listen to him when he constantly tells you that greater is he that is in you than he that is in this world. So now you've allowed the world to come into you. And now the spirit of the Most High can't dwell in you anymore. That World Wide Web is also the internet, their system. Everything that comes up underneath them or within them. So they can keep watching you in your captivity. So even while that is still happening, you're not free. They have just found even more wicked ways to keep you bound. And brothers and sisters, we had to get this out because this came in like a flood. For you to understand what's going on. Right now, it may not seem like it because they just like the way how the serpent works. He doesn't just rush everything all at once. He introduces it little by little by little by little until it builds up. And then one big old explosion. By the time it gets to that point, you've gone so far, it's like you can't go back. This is why we have to stay close to the Most High and be up under his protection and under his protective wing. Stop following the ways of man and thinking that, oh, their internet and their every minute you got to get the latest iPhone. You got to upgrade your laptop or your iPhone. Every single year they come out with an iPhone, another level, iPhone X. And I don't even know what came after the iPhone 8, iPhone 9, all these kinds of things. I don't even know. Did they have an iPhone 9? I don't know. But we have people who every year they got to get the next level up. The trend. They know how to trap us. Come on now. I know y'all know how our people are. That is the loving of the world, this following of trends. You got to get the next. This is how they trap you with these pagan holidays as well. This Christmas. And every minute you got to be putting things on your tree, spending all your money to go get the latest brand for some people. And all they're going to do is wear it out and it's on to the next thing. Building their narcissism. But all you're doing is getting deeper and deeper tied into the matrix. Till you can't get out of it. And you don't even want to. Because you've already accepted it. So I'm not saying this to be mean or nasty. Because when, as a watch person or watchman, and you see these things coming and you see these things about to happen to our people, and you see what is really going on, even, with all of their acting like they're technological gods and they're just doing it so, what do you call it? Where you can't even notice it's happening. It's just seeping in. Like how pretty much like a serpent, like the serpent did. He did it so he's so manipulative, but he does it in a way that you don't even realize what's going on. He just comes upon you. So by the time you even realize that he deceived you, it's too late. This is the time when we need to be wise. Instead of focusing on and listening to these other people who are trying to divide up, and I keep going back to this because I see that our people are gainsaying. They just love to have something to argue about, no matter how foolish it gets. Okay, no matter how foolish it gets. But that beast system is those powers, even from their kingdom, those people that even are in power, everything, the connection, they're the ones, they're the wardens in our captivity, and they're finding more and more ways to lock us down, more and more ways to distract us. Every time they distract you, they're doing something. They're doing something else, coming up with something else that you don't even realize will affect you down the road. So, brothers and sisters, this is just to let you know, just be wise. Be wise, be aware, be vigilant. Stay prayed up so the Most High can continue to open your eyes. Stop living in this denial that you got more time. We said there's two nations: the holy nation of Israel, then there's their seed, or Israel's seed that will come out from there. There's the whore of Babylon, those other nations, which our people are still fornicating with and running toward, and they'll tell you, no, 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 you're wrong. Won't listen, can't help them. So anyway, brothers and sisters, shalom.